Laura asking Tom here, did you have to stay through everything in the movie, in the cinema, I mean, like to watch all these items? Of course. No, I forgot there was a big stage show. The headliner on this stage show was Malvolio, the magician. Okay, this is very important. You remember in the beginning of the play where Tom compared himself to a magician? So in the beginning, when he was narrating, he said, I am the opposite of the magician. It's like I have tricks like a magician, but I am the opposite of the magician. The magician gives you um, illusion in the appearance of truth, but I give you the truth in the appearance of the illusion. So the magician um, is an attractive figure for Tom. He likes the works of a magician, and he compared himself to a magician in the beginning of the play. So every now and then we see this image of the magician. We need to have this kind of comparison, like compare and contrast between Tom and the magician. In what ways does Tom look like a magician? Why Tom likes the works or the maneuvers or the movements of a magician? He performed or his tricks, wonderful tricks, many of them, such as pouring water back and forth between pitchers, jars. First it turned to wine, and then it turned to beer, and then it turned to whiskey. I knew it was whiskey. It finally turned it into because he needed somebody to come up out of the audience to help him. And I came up both shows. It was Kentucky Straight Bourbon, a very generous fellow. He gave souvenirs. He pulls from his back pocket a shimmering rainbow colored scarf. Because this is something he took from the magician as a souvenir. And these are the items which usually magicians use in their tricks. He gave me this. This is his magic scarf. You can have it, Laura. You wave it over a canary cage, and you get a bowl of goldfish. You wave it over the goldfish bowl, and they fly away, canaries. But the wonderful trick of all was the coffin trick. This is very important, gentlemen. Okay, so of all the tricks which the magician did on that night, which Tom liked very much, that's why he came very late. He liked the coffin trick. We'll see how important this coffin trick is, and how to relate it to one of the main themes of the play. Okay, just give me a minute, please. Okay, the coffin trick. Why the coffin trick is important? So let's see what happened in the coffin trick first before or in order to know how important it is. We nailed him into a coffin. We nailed the magician into a coffin, and he got out of the coffin without. This is removing one nail. So it's like somebody is put in the coffin, which is the magician here. They nailed the coffin. It's like a box, a wooden box, and they nailed it. They covered it with the coffin cover, nailed the cover, and he got out of the coffin without removing just one nail. He has come inside. It's a trick that would come in handy for me. Get me out of this 2 by 4 situation. Flops on a bed and starts removing shoes. So why the coffin trick is important to Tom Gentleman? It's because Tom wants to get out of the current situation by the same way. So what are the nails? What is the nail that is sticking or fixing Tom inside this kind of life? It's or what are the nails? Maybe his mother and his sister, particularly his sister. These are the nails. He is fixed there because of them. And he wants to get out of this situation, out of the of this life without hurting them, without removing any nails. So in other words, Tom is comparing here his life to a coffin. It's a kind of death in life. Like, yeah, he's living, but this is and he referred to this, by the way, while he was quarreling with his mother when he said, I'd rather be dead. Like, dead people are more comfortable than me. So he's comparing his life to a coffin, and he wants to get out of this coffin without um, causing any troubles, without causing any problems to the members of his family. So this is very important. The coffin trick is very important, and why Tom liked it, because there is a kind of similarity between his situation and the situation of a magician being nailed inside a coffin. Tom, shh. So Laura is hushing him because she doesn't want her mother to wake up. What are you hushing me for? You will wake up, mother. Goody, goody. You're back for all those rise and shines. Okay. You see the language here is the typical language of that time. So we are not dealing here with artificial language. This is like that a kind of real language used by people at that time. A dialect, especially of the people in the south. You know, it don't should be doesn't. Sure, if the mistake is here with the typing of the book, or maybe sometimes this is the way they use it um, in real life. It doesn't take much intelligence to get yourself into a nail. He's still thinking of this image of the coffin, still stuck to his memory and his mind. Laura, but who in hell ever got himself out of one without removing one nail? Okay, so it doesn't take much intelligence to get yourself into a nailed up coffin. This is something easy. You put yourself um, into a coffin, and then people nail it. Okay, but how to get out of it without removing one nail? This is the wonder, the miracle. As if in answer, the father's grinning photograph lights up. Yeah, who can get out of the coffin without removing one nail? He looks at the father photographs, or the father's photograph here is highlighted by the lights. So we know now that, or we're sure that Tom likes the idea of following in the steps of his father, imitating his father, doing the same thing which his father did before, which is leaving the family behind. Screen dims out immediately following the church bells here striking 6. in the morning. At the sixth stroke, the alarm clock goes off into Amanda's room. Amanda is very punctual. She sleeps at a certain time, wakes up at a certain time, and after a few moments, we hear her calling, "Rise and shine." So this is the way she wakes up Tom every day in the morning. Rise and shine. Wake up, prepare yourself, rise and shine, Laura. Go tell your brother to rise and shine so that he can go to his job. If she does not wake him up, uh, I bet Tom would be sleeping all the day because he has been awake all night watching movies and drinking. Tom sitting up slowly. I'll rise, but I won't shine. Which means that Tom is going to thinking of doing a maneuver or doing something that we'll know later on. The light increases. Laura, tell your brother his coffee is ready. Laura slips into front row. Laura, Tom, it's nearly 7. Don't make mother nervous. He stares at her stupidly, beseechingly. Tom, speak to mother this morning. Make up with her. Apologize. Speak to her. So this is Laura. Um, she's asking Tom to say I'm sorry to his mother. Apologize to her. To make up with her. To speak to her. Because last time they were fighting and she witnessed this kind of quarrel. So this highlights one more rule by Laura here, which I briefly referred to before previously. The Laura is the common element of interest between the mother and her brother. Okay, she is that entity for which both of them care for so far. Um, and she is a source of compromise. She's the one who, a catalyst, like she's a catalyst. She's trying to help the family to stand together or to be intact, to be one family. So Laura is like an element of compromise. She calmed things down between the mother and her brother. And without her, we cannot imagine this family from the beginning. This family would have fallen apart a long time ago because she is the one who keeps Tom so far. Yes, he will leave at some point because he's out of his patience, but he will still remember her. Tom, she won't to me, like if I speak to her, she won't speak to me. It's her that started not speaking. It's her that started not speaking. Laura, if you just say you're sorry, she will start speaking. You see here, Laura doesn't give up easily. She keeps convincing Tom to speak to his mother. Her not speaking. Is that such a tragedy? Please, please. So she beseeches him. Amanda calling from kitchenette. It's a kitchenette, not a kitchen. Laura, you're going to do what I ask you to do, or do I have to get dressed and go out myself? So Amanda is like telling Laura to do something. Um, okay, what is it that Laura is asking? Sorry, that Amanda is asking Laura to do? So Laura said, going. Soon I get on my coat. She pulls on a shapeless felt hat with nervous, jerky. You see again, nervous, jerky movement, pleadingly, glancing at Tom, pleadingly, like she is like attracting his sympathy, like to respond to her, like to approve her request, which is talking to his mother. Rushes awkwardly for coat. The coat is one of Amanda's, so you can imagine how poor the family is. The coat is not her. The coat is her mother's. Um, inaccurately made over the sleeves, too short for Laura. So it does not fit for the size for Laura's size. Butter and what else? So it is as if her mother is asking her to go and buy something from the grocery. Butter and what else? Amanda centering upstage. Just butter. Tell them to charge it. Charge it means to. She's not paying at the moment. She will pay later. Mother, they make such faces when I do that. Like when she doesn't pay. Again, this shows you that they don't have cash. They don't have enough cash at the moment. So they are waiting for money to come in at the end of the month so that they can pay for what they have consumed or bought throughout the month. And Laura telling her, they make such faces when I do them. When I don't pay and when I ask him to charge it, they don't seem happy. They don't look happy. Sticks and the stones can break our bones. Sticks and stones can break our bones, but the expressions on Mr. Garfinkel's face, this is the grocery man, won't harm us. So if he's just not happy or showing this with his face, that's okay. This will not harm us. Tell your brother his coffee is getting cold. Laura, um, do what I asked you. Talking to Tom. Will you, Tom? Like, will you talk to your mother? Speak to your mother? He looks sullenly away. Laura, go now, or just don't go at all. So if you don't speak to her now, it's like she's urging him to speak to his mother. Okay. Um, and she would go to the grocery to buy what her mother asked her to do. Right. Going. A second later, she cries out. Tom springs up and crosses the door. Amanda rushes anxiously in. Tom opens the door. Tom, Laura, I am all right. I slept, but I am all right. So this is very symbolic situation here. Laura slept, um, and slept where? On the fire escape. Because we know that Laura is shy, Laura is introvert, Laura cannot confront the reality outside. And the fire escape is this transition period or stage between the world inside the flat and the world outside. So she slept on in that part. Whereas on the other hand, Tom, this is his favorite uh, place or location. He spends most of his time when he is narrating on the fire escape. And this is very symbolic and important situation because also we can see Laura as the center of the interest because of the mother and the son. When Laura slept here, who is going to um, save her or be worried about her? You see, Tom springs up. He's not just going to check. He springs up, crosses to door. Amanda also rushes anxiously in. So Laura is the the character that binds both the mother and the son. Without Laura, as I told you before, Tom would have gone away so a long time ago. So Laura is the character that keeps this family intact, that keeps them together because they care about her, both of them, the mother and also her brother. So this situation is very important. It shows the type of nature of Laura, the indication of the fire escape, the significance of the fire escape, and also it shows the attitudes of both the mother and the son towards towards the daughter. Okay. Um, we stop here and then we can continue later on, inshallah.